Welcome, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. We are, of course, coming to you live here from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. Again, wherever it is for you, ladies and gentlemen, day or night. I hope it is just right. And unfortunately, Drew could not be with us right now. He is packing for some moving he's going to have to be doing here pretty soon. So best of luck to him. We did send him a picture and let him know that the TV is, in fact, working. And he would have been hosting today, which never happens. It didn't work yesterday. It didn't work Tuesday. So I'm sure he's very happy with it. I'm sure he'll give a response here eventually. But I still have with me arguably one of the greatest people we've ever had the chance to work with. He's our tech director, and he is the host of Unpack with the Knack. It's our man, TJ Knacker, folks. TJ, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Another exciting day. I don't know where it is, where everyone else is at, but it's snowing just a little bit, and people have lost their minds. So I am not looking forward to going out in that little snowy mess because the highways were ridiculous.
Oh, I'm going to do everything I can to go. I have to go to work right after this, so I'm going the complete opposite way I can to be able to get to work because I can only imagine what nightmare awaits me. But, folks, we've got a lot we've got to get to. We're going to keep this one as short and simple. More so than yesterday, as we kept it to a short 2-hour show. But we will do our best to keep this one short. But, TJ, are you ready to do this?
Let's do this thing.
Let's go, folks. So, we're going to start with, of course, as I said last week, we were talking about the NBA, and we're going to do that. So, the NBA... the season's going on. Everybody's starting to get in their feels, feel out their teams a little bit more, see where they're at. Well, let's start here in the city because this is actually a question we got from one of our guys. This comes from Troy. Troy, he said, I'm a diehard Bulls fan. He said, yeah, last year gave us all the momentum in the world, but after what I've seen so far through these first 16, well, now 17 games, they have looked utterly atrocious. It's been a lot of the same nonsense. No defense, all offense. Can't seem to score from the three-pointer. It's just a mess. The question that he asked us, though, was, do we think that it is time for the Bulls to consider tanking the season away, considering this draft is filled with a lot of talent? So should the Bulls bank on the tank? That is, I guess, the main question in this. The Bulls right now, 11-16. As I said, they are 9.5 games back from first. Now it is, again, early in the season, 27 games into it. There's always a chance that maybe they could turn it around. But 9.5 games back in first place of the East. They are currently 11th. They're just outside the play-in tournament. It's a tough question to ask, I know. And I don't think anybody likes admitting to tanking. So maybe tanking isn't the right word, but... TJ, I guess I'll ask you to kind of start this one off. Should the Bulls continue to play at the mediocre level they are playing at right now in order to lose properly to see if maybe they could get a strong lottery pick at this point? Or do you think that the Bulls should continue to try to push to see if there's maybe something left for this team for this season? What do you think?
So my opinion is, after watching this team, you went with your heart, and I can't blame you. You re-signed Zach LaVine to a max contract. And unfortunately, with all the knee injuries, he's not that player.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a number one. He's not a dominating player. He is a good Robin to your Batman, but there's no Batman.
Right.
There's a lot of good role players, and you're just going to be in that purgatory of being in that like 6-7 at best when everything's going well, and that's if Lonzo Ball comes back. The defense has been suspect. I mean, I watched that game last night, and I was like, what are you doing? How are you letting Brunson get? I mean, I know Brunson's a good player, but you let him run all over the place.
Yeah.
You should have closed out. You had 4 out of the 5 starters were fouled out in overtime, and you lost.
Yes.
So, in my opinion, I think in a way you should tank, but the other Bulls that did tank ended up with a number 7 pick, 8 pick, So you tanked for nothing. Yeah, tanked you for nothing. I mean, it's just as a Bulls fan, this makes me nuts. And if you go through another rebuild, I don't know how many fans are gonna come back unless you win the title.
Those are very good points. I mean, you have to certainly, I think, consider that with where the Bulls are at right now. Obviously, look, I still think that Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley and those guys can certainly still do the job, but we're now in the second year of this kind of unified team with where they were at last year, which again, let's preference this, right? Last year, it's a whole new look, right? Billy Donovan's kind of in his second year. This is a new team. Nobody knows what to expect from them. They got momentum, and everybody was playing their part perfectly. And oh, by the way, you look at that picture, there's 4 guys there that are all considered to be key critical role players on this team, right? Or the stars, if you will, right? It's a 4-star team, kind of packed nicely bunch. DeRozan's your leader. Zach LaVine's your number 2. Vooch is your down low, inside out kind of scoring, stretch 5 guy. But Lonzo was one of the big things that was supposed to be key to this, with the defensive perimeter ability, the 3-point shooting that he has now been able to customate to, his assist technique. I mean, that there is a true essence of leadership that comes from this young man that I think none of us saw coming. And he's only, 22, 23? There's so much more that we can see from him going forward. And not having him on the court now for what will probably be a second straight year now is very concerning, because it's not even about, is he going to play for the Bulls? It's now, is he ever going to play again? I mean, this is a guy that was considered to be like maybe a bigger version of Rajon Rondo, if you will, right? Could possibly maybe transform if he had more. I mean, it's hard to get to a Chris Paul level, but certainly there's the small dips and dots, the shining moments, the shining stars, if you will, of him looking like Paul, the sick passes, the bounce pass, right? The over the head, football passes. He shows some great stuff, some good quality, but not having him on the team is certainly having a big effect on this roster. So, and I never want to say that a team should tank, of course. And I don't think that no team ever goes into it with the intention of tanking, all right? Let's just be honest. No team is ever really legitimately tanking. They're just going to be bad. Like, Orlando is not trying to lose every game. I would assume, at least, right? They are trying to be competitive and win, because you just had the number 1 pick. You just had Paolo Banchero. He wants to win games. He wants to transform Orlando into something, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. These guys want to win for their teams. But in what's best for the Bulls as far as a growing future, I do think maybe if this continues, if we hit game 30 and we see the Bulls are not going anywhere, as a fan, I would say, okay, maybe just keep doing what you're doing, lose as many games as you can by doing what you're doing. If you win a few, great, but otherwise, if you're trying to win but you can't seem to get it done, then you might as well just hope for the best in the lottery draft at this point. I mean, look, there's prizes. The 2 prizes in this draft right now are Victor Wembanyama, who is maybe a once in 50 years player, right? TJ, would you say that he's maybe the closest thing we have seen to like a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when I saw him hit the court. I'm like, oh, well, he'll be a nice, like, down low. He's a little skinny, and all of a sudden I see him. He's like that revolution with the Euro players. Like, he's running the point, and I'm like,
yeah,
what in the world is that big guy doing running the point? And then he's going past guys. I'm like,
yeah,
oh my God, like, and then he shoots. I'm like, what can't you do? Like, so yeah, I mean, he would be the prize, but yet again, if you tank and you don't get that none or 2, I mean, you're out of luck.
Yeah. No, and that is the biggest thing right now, right? Is that it's the lottery. It's a gamble. Just because you have the worst record in the league, that only gives you the best percentage to get the number 1 pick. we saw it with the Bulls before, right? They had one of the least chances to get the number 1 pick when Derrick Rose was up. And sure, somehow that ball landed perfectly, right? It's the same thing with the Orlando Magic. Have you seen the Magic moment 30 for 30? The Penny Hardaway thing, right? I mean, the Orlando Magic get the number 1 pick, they get Shaq. The next year, somehow they get the number 1 pick again. And then ultimately becomes Chris Webber, which they trade for 3 first-round draft picks. Which that could be something to consider, but Victor Wembanyama, I think, is that generational talent that you cannot pass on. That is the definition of a franchise guy. But the other guy, Scoot Henderson, who's playing in the G League right now, you're talking about I probably would say probably one of the next top shooting guards, I would say, in the league. Long, tall, athletic, the ability to jump out of the gym. If you could get both, I mean, that'd be a pipe dream. You trade everybody for the 2 first-round picks, 1 and 2, and you take them. I mean, yeah, be bad for like a year and then just build around them. That'd be great. That's like some NBA 2K stuff that you would do. But to say the Bulls should tank, I don't want to say that. I think they should see what they have. Fight. Let's see if they've got that little bit of a dog left in them. But what's worrisome is that Vooch doesn't have a new contract and he's getting older and he's probably out at this point. DeMar is now 34. He's still a good player. And by the way, him and Levine, last 5 games, I think it is, they're averaging 25 apiece. So their numbers are getting better. But the rest of the team has yet to come with them. And I like Patrick Williams, and I know he's 21, but the inconsistency and the non-growth we're seeing from him is now becoming a concern. Dalen Terry, I still like the kid, but he's in Windy City, and then he's back up with the Bulls. The up and down stuff is, you'd like to see more consistency out of him, but I think you need to give him minutes too. So keep that in mind. But I think the biggest thing is just Lonzo not being there, right? Io's in his 2nd year, and you're thrusting him into the starting role. Yeah, last year he played really well, sparingly in the starting role. But last year he didn't have to worry about being the starter. He was the guy that came off the bench. I don't. TJ, is it wrong to say maybe he's in over his head? And I mean, because listen, you've got Dragic, you've got Caruso. I mean, that's a lot. You got a lot of experience in front of you. Is it wrong to say maybe Dosunmu maybe kind of got in? Not he got in over his head, but maybe Bulls fans got it in over their head that maybe he's ready for this right away.
Well, I mean, I think the honeymoon period's over with him. He's a really good player.
Yeah,
but he does have limitations, and he's not. I don't think he's ready to be that starting guy, and obviously he's not the starting guy anymore.
Right.
Or right now he will be. I think that he has a lot of potential. The other problem I think is that he's now getting that notoriety, and that may also be hard because now you and I in the offseason see him and go like, hey, there's Ayo Dosunmu. Hey, better, hopefully the Bulls are going to be better. You have that hometown pressure going, hey, you cost me money. You missed, you missed 7, layups last night, and well, you don't know what's going on with them, but now you got people, you got a whole family that are now pushing on you to be that productive player. Like, why'd you lose your starting job?
Yeah.
It's kind of almost like the Derrick Rose problem that you had with Reggie Rose. So, I mean, it's tough to be an NBA player in your hometown.
Yeah, well, and especially when you consider too that last night they played the Knicks, and who happens to be on the Knicks? Not 1, but 2 hometown kids, right? I mean, the Simeon superstar and Derrick Rose, love of the city. We all love him, He's not the same player he once was with the Bulls, but, he could still play. And then you have Jalen Brunson, who's, I think, really the precursor to what maybe Ayo could be. 2nd-round pick that's really worked his way now into he's got a good contract. And he can play. He's a good point guard. He's got good size. He's got a good shot. Let's keep in mind, too, he did help Villanova win a national championship, too. So he knows what it's like to be a winner. He knows. So you think about that, Ayo probably looking across the aisle going, One of those guys was a number one pick. One of those guys was a big help for the Mavericks in driving them to where they are now and has a massive contract. And who am I? Like, he's that next guy that we all look at and say, well, you're up. But maybe that's too much pressure for him. I haven't talked to him in a while. We talked about interviewing before, but he's been very busy. Maybe this is it, though. Maybe it's not he's busy. Maybe he's just kind of, I don't want to, I'm not saying he's scared or anything, but, the nerves can get to you. I would ask him some questions about what's going on with the Bulls now, and maybe he doesn't want to answer that. I don't know. We have to be understanding, but at the same time, we can't coddle anybody on this. Like, they've been bad. They've been very bad. Well, TJ, before we move on to the next stuff, obviously for the Bulls, they got a heck of a stretch going on here, going into the Christmas games and everything. I don't have the exact list of the games that they're playing up here and everything, but for you, TJ, do you think that the Bulls can necessarily turn around this momentum? Do you see it happening, or do you think we're going to see a lot more of the same with what we've seen so far from the Bulls?
So me personally, and yet again, I am not a hater on Zach LaVine. I really hate, and if you've watched enough Bulls games, them pass the ball to him, and he is mid-step, and then he takes this like weird fall away from 3-point, and it goes in maybe 10, 20 times, or 20% of the time.
Something like that.
And
it's not good.
It's this weird off balance thing. And then if the coaches get through to him and be like, hey, instead of taking that shot, we want you to be the guy. We want you to score, but maybe make that extra pass.
Right.
And that's important. Is you see a guy, instead of doing a fadeaway from 3-point, maybe look to see who's open. Maybe there's a Vucevic underneath that you could throw it to, maybe some other guy, or just keep the ball moving. If you fake it, you go up, and then you throw it sideways to someone, you're going to get a defender out of place. So if they can get back to what they were in the beginning of the season last year, I think they could do really well. If you keep trying to force up balls and trying to outscore teams without playing any defense, this is going to be a long, long, long season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They in a long season they still have ahead of them, and it is going, and like you said, they have to recapture that magic, that momentum they had last year. Can they do it? I think they can, but like you said, LaVine has also been one of the biggest disappointments thus far. Now again, the last 5 games he's really stepped it up, of course, but like you said, he's still taking those ugly shots, which he should be the 3-point guy for this team. Like, that's what his specialty should be. I know he wants to dunk the ball. I know he wants to drive the lane. But you've got a guy that does that in DeMar DeRozan. You've got a guy to feed on the inside in Patrick Williams and Vucevic. Where he really should just stay comfortable is shooting the threes and then occasionally take the ball up the court and dunk it if you want, but only on the free fast breaks or something like that. Otherwise, because somebody needs to be the 3-point shooter on this team. And it sounds like they're going to start looking at Green, starting to give him more looks. Caruso's going to get more looks. These guys are going to get more opportunities to play to see who wants to be here, I think, and who wants to stay, because who knows, maybe Karnisovas is maybe looking to make a move potentially here, which I'd not be disappointed by. I think they have to do something to change momentum. Their next few games over the next few weeks, going into New Year's, by the way, to the end of December, they're against New York this Friday, and then they go on a 4-game road stretch to Minnesota, then it's Miami, then it's Atlanta, and then it's in New York. Come back home for Houston, Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland. Then they go to Cleveland when they come back and then they go to Cleveland when they come back for the new year. So I'm not saying anything on a number here. I'm just saying there's winnable games in this for sure. Like Atlanta, I could see them possibly beating. Miami looks like there's a little dysfunctional. I don't know what's up with Minnesota, but I'm going to say this again. That Rudy Gobert thing is not working the way they want it to. Detroit, they lost Cade Cunningham. Okay, they lost Cade Cunningham. Houston, still very young. I know they won recently, but they're still very young. The rest of these games, though, I mean, it's going to be difficult. Cleveland's very hard. Milwaukee, we know what they are, right? New York, for some reason, seems to kind of have their number a little bit. I don't know. This is not going to be an easy stretch for them for the rest of the month. That's for sure. And going into the new year, it's not going to get any easier, mind you. Because when they come out of the new year, just real quick, again, like I said, they're in Cleveland. Then they go to Brooklyn. Then they go to Cleveland. Then they're at home for Brooklyn. Then they go to Philadelphia. Then they are at home at Utah. And then they have 2 games on the road against Boston and Washington. 2 teams that already beat one team they've beaten that they probably shouldn't beat, and the other one they should be beating. But for some reason they couldn't find any answers to. So we'll see what happens with the Bulls. It's going to be a long season, I feel like, though. I agree with you, TJ. I think it's good. There's a lot that's going to happen this year for the Bulls, and it's not going to be pretty. All right. Well, moving into our next story. Yes, Brooklyn, baby. Gotta talk about Brooklyn. Yes, the Brooklyn Nets, they seem to be bouncing back, which, I will say I was wrong. I thought they were really going to hit the skids. Again, early in the season, but still, 19 games in, or 29 games in. They are 8-2 in their last 10, 17-12 as a record. They're 4th in the East now, and they're playing with some good momentum. They look really good. They look like they've got the talent, and obviously, with where everything started, was pretty crazy. I would venture to say, wouldn't you say, TJ, for what was happening with the Brooklyn Nets? It seemed like every week there was a new story happening for them.
Yeah, it seemed like every time it was like, no, Durant wants to be traded. Now Irving wants to says this, and then the problem it was like a drama, and all of a sudden they realized like, this is a reality show. This is basketball. And there's a certain point that people don't care.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this has been a rough one for sure. But look, I have to say it, okay? Kevin Durant right now playing like an MVP, okay? Averaging 30 points, almost 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and almost 2 blocks a game, mind you. Okay, he's playing probably some of his best all-around basketball for this season. Kyrie is, I mean, look, for everything that happened with Kyrie, with the off-the-court stuff and the Twitter thing and everything like that, he fulfilled his agreement to the Brooklyn Nets. That should be noted. That great for him. I still think there's a lot going on in his mind that we will never understand, but when it comes to on-the-court stuff, what do we know? He knows basketball, and he's a really good player, okay? He's a really good player, and he's averaging 25 right now for the year. He's done a great job since he's been back. He's done a very good job complimenting him when he's been back. So, and the rest of the crew, by the way, for the Brooklyn Nets are also doing their job. Nick Claxton, who I wish the Bulls would have pursued, is doing a great job being that defensive presence. Now he's even scoring points. He's averaging almost 12 points per game over the season now. So there's a lot with this team that obviously still must be questioned. And of course, my man, my favorite, Ben Simmons, still finding ways to do some stuff, yeah, and no longer wearing that, though. He's actually playing, believe it or not. He's averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds, almost 7 rebounds, about 6 assists. I mean, I will say he's picked it up. He's not forcing things to happen, of course. And listen, I don't think he ever really had to. But I certainly think that there's been a lot of people that want to see him do better. They want to see him play better. They want to see him progress, get back to all-star level. And that would be great if he could. I don't know if he can. But I do think that Ben Simmons he's played far better than what we have seen now in most recent games. Okay, I'm giving him the thumbs up. I'm giving you a thumbs up for what you've done thus far, Ben. You have you've certainly played well, and as he should be. I mean, over his last 10 games, 7.5 points, 7 rebounds. 5 assists. Been averaging about a steal and a half a game. And he hasn't taken any 3-pointers, thank God. And he's actually shooting 80% from field goal. It's not bad. But TJ, I guess I must ask you, because this is the question that many were pondering. Because of how Brooklyn is looking right now in their record and everything, do you think that Brooklyn continues this level of play and can make a hearty push into the playoffs with this team going forward? Or is it possible that we're just waiting for the inevitable collapse of Brooklyn, you think? Where are you at with this?
So I think that they can continue on this pace as long as Kevin Durant is the leader in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as he has control, I think he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. I know there's going to be something that's going to come up.
Yeah.
But I don't know what and I don't know when. And that's what kind of scares me. Is it's like, Kyrie, you're gonna do something stupid again. I can feel it. Like there's something else. Like I just or Ben Simmons. Like you're going like some point you're gonna regress and you're gonna see that like well I'm not getting enough touches.
Right.
And Kevin Durant can say, you know why you're not getting enough touches? Because you went 2 for 15 last night.
Yeah.
That's why you're not getting enough touches. Well, no, you know what? We're all in the NBA. If you don't shoot well, you don't get the ball. I'm not throwing it to you, and no one else is. And also, so, I mean, as long as you can keep the lid on it, they can do well, but I'm just so afraid that Kyrie's going to do something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like... Did you see Talladega Nights?
Yes.
That you knew the father was going to do something at some point, and he's like, he just has that itch.
Absolutely.
That's how I see Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
He's going to do something weird, and it's going to blow up, and he's going to be suspended for 5 games. So if they can keep him, kind of, on the bench and being part of the team, I think they could do pretty well.
Yeah. No. I have to kind of actually agree. In unfortunately, they have good momentum going their way. They look really good right now. They're playing a solid fundamental game that works to their level, right? I mean, everybody is filling in their positions where they're supposed to be. And it's working, right? And you say the leader of the locker room. I agree. I think Kevin Durant maybe has kind of taken maybe more of a role. But I think the real leader, I think a lot of this change that's helping is Jacques Vaughn, which... you could have just had instead of Steve Nash anyways. Like, I get it. Steve Nash was the more attractive name, the bigger name, MVP, right? Hall of Famer. We know what Steve Nash is to the game of basketball, okay? He's a wonderful player. He's so gifted. But he was always going to be set up for failure with the way that Brooklyn Nets team was going. Jacques Vaughn, which is the guy that they probably should have went out and got anyways and just signed anyways, now he's getting his crack at it, and I think he's really been a difference maker. Because Jacques Vaughn is smart. He's disciplined. He's not going to take Kyrie and KD for their BS. He's not going to deal with a moping, pouting Ben Simmons. He's a guy who played in this league for a while and played, by the way, at a pretty decent level. Like, he was a pretty solid backup, occasional starter at the guard position, okay? He's not somebody to just overlook. He's like, hey, I've played in this league. I know how this works. Don't come at me with your, well, but I just, no. It's not you think, it's I do as I say. And that's kind of what they need. The Nets need an adult, nothing against Steve Nash, but they need an adult in the locker room. And Jacques Vaughn gives that off. They did not respect Steve Nash. They certainly seem to respect Jacques Vaughn, which again blows my mind when they were like, well, we want Steve Nash. But Jacques Vaughn's right there. He clearly fits what you want to do. But they didn't want to give him a chance or whatever the case is. I don't know what Sean Marks was thinking. But Jacques Vaughn, I think, has been one of the biggest reasons why this team has been able to turn around. Mind you that obviously Claxton and all these other guys coming off the bench now, I think are finding their role in the team too. And yes, Kevin Durant is playing at an MVP level. Because I think Kyrie, even if Kyrie goes for 40, if KD doesn't have at least 27, 28 points, I don't think it's going anywhere. Kyrie can put up all the numbers they want. They need KD to also be there. He needs to be, quote unquote, the guy in Brooklyn to make this thing work. But I have to say, with what they're doing right now, how they've looked, I think they have enough momentum to keep going forward, make a good push. Not saying winning a championship, because if that happens, then I got to buy that stupid Ben Simmons jersey and wear it all year long, and I don't want to do that. But they certainly, I think, have enough here to say, all right, we can challenge, we can build off momentum, they can get something going. And by the way, I don't hate Simmons per se. I hate his attitude. I don't hate Kyrie Irving. I hate the fact that when he is in the season of basketball, there's always something that seems to kind of pull him off of it, because he's such a great player that I want to see him play basketball. I understand there's other things where things happen in your life, but dude, you're a basketball player. We want to see you play basketball. Don't let other things distract you. Just keep playing. You're such a good player. He is such a good player. He could be a Hall of Famer if he works his ass off. He's so good. Like, I'm saying this knowing that people are going to be like, whoa, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, I know, but I'm telling you, Kyrie Irving is such a good player. He could be a Hall of Famer if he really just basketball, focus in. That's all I want. I just want another ring. I want to make an MVP. He could be that guy. He could. He's got the ability. And I think this Brooklyn team could be that. It could be. But they have no more distractions. No more fights. No more, it's me or the GM and the coach. Like, none of that can happen. One more, like you said, TJ, one more thing happens and it feels like there may be something that's budding underneath. That's going to be a problem. That's going to derail this team immediately. Like, train goes off the track, off the mountainside, down a cliff, into the schoolhouse full of kids kind of thing. Like, tragedy across the board. Like, they missed the playoffs completely because somebody like Ben Simmons had a breakdown or something like that. I don't know. Like, somebody threw his blanket away. I don't know. Something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. Brooklyn's been playing well. We'll give it to them at least for the time being. All right, let's move into this next one. This is the last one for the NBA I had because this was interesting. So, as one team obviously advances, another one obviously drops out. And what's very interesting about this is that New Orleans has now officially come to the pivotal point of one of the top teams in the NBA. They are currently tied for first in the West with the Memphis Grizzlies, because we all saw that coming. The number 1 and number 2 pick from the 2019 NBA draft, leading the way for their teams right now. Zion looking like a solid, I'm going to say, bottom MVP candidate. But like, he's leading that team. He is the difference maker all the way through and through for New Orleans. As many said, I was not sure of. He's proven me wrong. I bow to you, Sir Eats a Lot. Okay. Hey, he was fat. And as a big man myself, TJ, you a big man, we can say that. He ate a lot of food. Wrong? Am I wrong about that?
No, you're all good.
Yeah, there you go. So, but he listen, he's slimmed down. He's looking good. He's playing well. I'm really impressed with how he's played. On top of that, though, too, we have also seen a team drop from being one of the top teams in the West. It's the Phoenix Suns. I don't know what's going on with them. I honestly don't. The only thing that I can come to is that man there, Chris Paul, is really starting to show signs of getting older. That's the only thing that I can kind of come to at this point. I don't know what else there is. They've dropped, they're like 2-8 or 4-6 in their last 10 games. They have not looked good. And they've lost some of these games by like pretty wide margins, considering they have Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul, and they had this roster that just went to the finals, right? They just went to the finals and had the best record, one of the best records in the NBA for like the second straight year, I think, or something like that, right? They were one of the best teams, and they look awful. They maybe not awful is maybe not the right word, but they don't look like themselves. They don't look like themselves at all. So, I mean, not to two-part it, but in a way, kind of. For you, TJ, what's your take with New Orleans? What is it about New Orleans that you think is If not Zion, do you think there's something else that is allowing New Orleans to look this good right now? And for Phoenix, what do you think is the main issue for the Suns right now on why they have simply seemed to drop in the West as they have?
So the way I see it is the downfall and the rise of both teams are the exact same reason.
Okay.
Zion has bought into what the Pelicans are doing.
Mm-hmm.
He has gone in as a teammate. They said, hey, you need to lose some weight. You need to get healthy. Otherwise, you're not going to be playing. You're going to make all this money. You are a bloated expense on our cap.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you had CJ McCollum calling you out last year and saying, hey, we really need you and you can't play.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden then that psyche, probably something goes, hey, I'm not going to be able to continue to play and I'm not going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And also I'm not going to be able to sell shoes because now on top of me selling shoes to NBA, above NBA players, now I got to worry about college players with the NIL. That now they can do with the money. So now this market is blowing up that I need to start making a move and I need to be successful because I'm staying here because I signed this big contract in New Orleans. Yeah. So all of a sudden he bought in, he got fit, they play as a team, all right, they skyrocket. Now the Suns, if I am correct, Aiden didn't want to be there. DeAndre didn't want to be there.
No.
He was actually signed on an offer sheet.
Yeah.
And the Suns matched it. Mm-hmm. So they were able to keep him. So now you have a disgruntled center who was a major part of your offense who doesn't really want to be there, is getting paid.
Yeah.
Now you got Booker who is trying to carry the team. You got Chris Paul who I don't know if he's played a full season in the last probably 6 seasons. I mean, he always seems to have some issue, and I feel bad for him. Because, yeah. I think if he could have stayed healthy, he would be a Hall of Fame player, and he still may be. But, yeah, I'm looking at it and going, this isn't a team.
No.
This is Devin Booker and trying to carry this group, and some of them just don't even seem like they even want to be there, and obviously Aiden didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So that the exact same reason. No, if you don't want to be there, you're not going to hustle for your friends.
Right.
You're not going to do anything for them. But hey, you buy into the system. Oh, that team can be unstoppable. Especially since Zion is such a weird matchup that he's not a center, he's not a power forward.
Right. What is he by technicality?
But yeah, if you put him as a power forward, all of a sudden he's crashing the boards over the top of you. So, yeah, I think buying in is the reason why, one team's doing well and the other one's just tanking.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. I do. I agree with that. I look at the situation with the Pelicans, or not situation, the great situation they're in, I should say, more than anything. There are 4 things I think that have really accounted for what's helped the Pelicans a lot. And their names are Trey Murphy III, a Herbert Jones, Jose Alvarado, and Larry Nance Jr. Those guys have been so key and critical both in the starting lineup and coming off the bench, right? Like Alvarado is not even their starting point guard because that's McCollum, right? And Alvarado, though, is a great defensive guard. I know he's out now, but he's so quick, he's fast, he's got a good jumper, he's great with the steal. I mean, everybody knows he's got that famous little, hide him yourself and then pop out of nowhere and steal the ball. It's a great move. It's his move, obviously. It's his signature. Larry Nance is being his old self, dunking on guys, defense. Leads the team in blocks, doing the rebound thing. Herbert Jones has been he's an interesting find because he was supposed to be a bench guy. He was supposed to be a G League guy. And they're like, no, he actually has a nice jumper. And he's one of those guys that came out of Alabama that was pretty good, but nobody really talked about him too much because obviously the hype was around all these other young guys that were coming out, like Lewis and everybody, right? And no, Herbert Jones has actually found a home there. And then Trey Murphy III, I mean, he's got a fantastic shot. He's great from three-pointer. We saw him at Virginia. He's an outstanding player. He's perfect for what New Orleans is looking for. They needed an outside shooter. Well, there you go. I mean, and yeah, Zion's been dominant. Obviously, we know what Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum can bring to the table. This team is very well-rounded by how they play and how their players are. They have good depth, and they still have a G League system where they can feed into. Those guys are still very good too. As for Phoenix, okay. Where do I even begin? Like you said, TJ, I think you're right. It's Devin Booker and like Karius. Like, you can't do that. You cannot do that. I understand that Chris Paul is getting older and he's still a good assist guy. He's still a good perimeter defender, but age is becoming an issue here. His numbers are declining. Cameron Payne is now having to play a good portion of his minutes now, even when he is healthy, because Payne's younger and has more momentum behind himself right now. And you need guys like Cameron Johnson has been good, but he's just been hurt too much. He's good, but he's just been hurt too much. Mikal Bridges, I think, needs to become more of a scorer for this thing to really work. But he's more of a defensive guy, really, at the forefront. That's kind of where he is. He's a defensive guy who can score on like the counterattack. That's like his thing. Fast break, counterattack, dunk the ball. I mean, that's what he was at Villanova. So, but you can't just keep relying on Devin Booker. He's going to tire out. He's going to get exhausted. DeAndre Ayton cannot carry this team because, let's face it, he's not that kind of player. The way that he was acting last year, and how many times did we talk about DeAndre Ayton? What, 20 times, TJ? Something like that? It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous the number of times we had to mention him. Will he come to the Bulls? Will he not? I mean, even still to the season, we were saying, well, they may swap Vooch and Ayton. I didn't think that was going to happen. It was nice and entertaining, but I didn't think it was going to happen at all. And listen, their bench still is not all that great. Landry Shamet, Torrey Craig, Damian Lee. These are fine players, but you're not going to get like a good... You need these guys to be the ones that are like, oh, he's having like a 15-point night coming off the bench. You know, oh, he's having, he's locking down the defenders. He's like plus 25, coming off the... You need those little things to happen from their bench players, and they just don't have it. They just don't have it. I mean, Torrey Craig is not a starter, but because Cameron Johnson's been hurt, he's had to start. So I think Phoenix's problem is that you got an aging point guard, and I don't think they had a solution after Chris Paul, right? It's kind of like how do I want to say this? It's kind of like the Colts right now, Indianapolis Colts, for those who are football fans. Please just stick with me on this. Here's what I'm saying. After Andrew Luck, they didn't have a plan, right? They didn't have a backup for him to retire because that was so sudden, right? And so they've gone through a slew of guys trying to solve it. And then they settled on Carson Wentz, and then that didn't work. And then they went to now Matt Ryan. Well, they don't have a backup for Matt Ryan. They don't have an answer for that, really. So if Matt Ryan gets hurt again, they have no idea. Jeff Saturday is going to be like, well, what do I do? Who am I starting now? Like, do I just go sign somebody off of free agency? Do I get a practice squad guy? What do I do? That's kind of, I think, how the Suns are looking at this. Now, again, Cameron Payne's a fine player. But Chris Paul, Cameron Payne, right? In terms of their success, the career advantages, what they bring to the table, it's such a major difference, I would say. But in terms of the athleticism and the agility and the ability to move, Cameron Payne, Chris Paul. Nothing against Chris Paul. I think he is a bona fide Hall of Famer. He should be, I believe. But the injuries, the age now, I don't know if he's going to get a ring. Unless he's going to sit on a team and just be like collecting it off the bench. Because honestly, right now, he's fitting into Mike Conley territory where you're just going to have to become a bench guy. Your chances of starting are going to be slim to none unless you're on a weak team. because that's the only way Connolly sees the court ever. It's the last 15 minutes of the game, or it's, point guard's out. I'll take over. I don't know. I don't know if Phoenix is going to be, they may be a play-in tournament team this year. They don't have good momentum. Meanwhile, New Orleans, I don't know if they'll finish as the top team because the Grizzlies are still very good. They're very good. And listen, there's other teams in the West that are starting to figure it out, except for the Lakers. But, we knew that. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma's going to be the game changer for you. That's it. That's all you need. Please. But I think New Orleans will finish top 3. They're good enough to. TJ, would you say top 3? They'll finish with a top playoff spot for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely bet top 5. Top 3, yeah, I could see it.
I mean, top of the division's hard. Listen, top of the conference is hard. Top of the conference is going to be hard because the West is filled with a lot of very competitive. I still think Dallas, even though they're hitting the skids a little bit, I still think Dallas is going to have its rise to the occasion moment at the end. Like, they'll have that little momentum push because Luke is going to be like 50, 60. Yeah, I mean, he'll have like career nights, right? He already puts the team on his back. So I think New Orleans at least top 3, like you said, top 5. They will be competitive in the West. Who knows? Maybe Boston's really good though. So's Milwaukee. It's to say they're gonna win a championship. I don't know. And here, how about this poll question for everybody out there? I know we didn't do a poll question. Don't worry about it, TJ. But little poll question. Let us know. Email us. Hit us up in the comments. Whatever. Who do you think can win a championship first? Pelicans or Grizzlies? Zion or Ja? Who's winning the championship first? Comment. Let us know. Email us. Hit us with those comments, guys. We want to hear from you. Let's start that discussion. I want to know who's gonna win because they're 1-2. 1-2 is 1-2 right now, which is funny. Who's gonna win that title first? I'll vote Ja. I'll say Ja. TJ, you got one to vote for?
I agree completely. Ja is just unbelievable.
The Grizzlies are really good right now, man. They're really good. And they're talking about adding pieces. Are you kidding me? What? That's nuts. All right. That's going to do it for the NBA, folks. We're going to toss that to the side. Let us know. What do you think about, should the Bulls tank? Do you think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be legit? Do you think Zion can carry this? Do you think Phoenix can fix it? Who do you think will win a championship first between Zion and Ja Morant, the Pelicans and the Grizzlies? Comment all that stuff. Let us know, guys. We want to hear from you guys as much as possible. So, no commercial break. We're going to go right into it because it's Bowl-Palooza, folks. Bowl Mania, Bowl-Palooza. It is pick 6+1 for the college ranks, folks. That's right. We're taking all the bowl games. Scratch that. Not every bowl game. Okay, that's blow the whistle. We're going to do every bowl game on blow the whistle. TJ may kill us. But we're going to do every game we can for the bowl games that has legitimate contenders and opponents in it, okay? That actually has like some good matchups, I would say. May not be great matchups by your eyes, I understand, but by the odds, all that stuff, you guys want it, we're going to give it to you. So TJ, are you ready to do this, my friend?
Let's do it.
Let's do this, folks. So, Bowl-Palooza, here we go, folks. It is time for the pick 6+1, and we're starting with the first 2 ranked teams, which this could be fun. This is UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio. They're taking on the Troy Trojans, those condom boys, baby. Troy's got a 1.5 favorite. The over-under's at 55.5. TJ, start it off, man. Who you taking in this one?
I'm gonna go with Troy. I think that's a better choice. I'm sorry, I have not watched much of University of Texas San Antonio. Mm-hmm. It just seems like one of those. Like, it's hard enough to keep up with all the other SEC and the Big Ten and all that. Like,
too many teams.
I'm sorry. And on top of it, when we do our you guys do the transfer portal stuff. Like, I can't even keep track of some of these guys. Like, you went where?
Yeah,
no,
I
you were
know.
playing for that team. So I'm gonna go with Troy. I think it's better. It's gonna be a better team, and I'll take him by 3, and I'll take the over.
Okay. All right. I like that a lot. Uh, God, this is such a tough matchup. I mean, I think I'm gonna stick with Troy. I'm gonna stick with my pick I made on blow the whistle on this. The defense is good. I know that the offense right now for UTSA is ridiculous. Harris, by the way, they say 6 feet. I still think 5'10", maybe 5'11". But he's got an arm. He's accurate as ever. UTSA is really good at scoring points, but their defense is kind of lagging behind them right now. That's part of the problem. They're giving up just 10 points less than what they score, or 12 points less than what they score. 38 points scored, 26 and a half points, given up. Troy's defense, they've always, ever since DeMarcus Ware, they've had a great defense. Or they've always at least had a solid defense. So I like Troy in this, and not only that, but 34, 48, 45 over the last 3 games against good teams, by the way, too. Arkansas State, University of Louisiana Monroe, and Coastal Carolina, not throwaway teams in the Group 5, in the G5. Okay, I'll take Troy. I'll say Troy by 5. I'll go by 5, and then I will. Oh man. You know what? I'll take the under. I think I said the under before. I think I'll stick with the under. I don't know. I can't remember what I said on Tuesday. Tuesday was a long time ago. My brain's melting from too much work stuff. All right. Next we have Cincinnati, the Bearcats. They're taking on the Louisville Cardinals. So Louisville actually is favored in this game right now by 1.5. The over-under is at a very, very spicy 40. TJ, Cincinnati, Louisville, who are you taking with this one?
So I'm going to take Louisville. I mean, I've seen a little bit of them, and I think that they can win this match. I'm going to go. I'll take the 2. I'll take the 1. I don't know if I want to go 3. I think it's going to be real close. Mm-hmm. And yeah, again, you know what? I always love the high games. So let's go with the over on that one too.
Okay. All right. I like that. Keep this in mind. This is one of those crazy things where the coaches have all switched places, right? Luke Fickell from Cincinnati went to Wisconsin. The coach for Louisville went to Cincinnati. It's almost a nightmare momentum with that. Of these two teams, though, I like Cincinnati in this. I think I again, I can't remember what I said Tuesday. Doesn't matter though. I like Cincinnati, and it's just because there's a team that went to the college football playoff. They still have those experiences there. Ben Bryant's a decent quarterback. Nothing against Malik Cunningham, but they're so reliant on the run, Louisville is, the Cardinals, that I think at some point the Bearcats can stop them. And it only is going to take, I think, the one stop to stop them. So I will say Cincinnati. I'll say Cincinnati by 3, and I like your over. I'll take the over. I think points can be scored, and it'll be like whoever gets like the 4th, like it'll be a 3rd down stop to go 4th down, and then like a 4th down try on turnover on downs. Something like that's going to happen, I think, in this game, to give Cincinnati the win. Or at least one of these teams is going to get the win, I think, that way. All right. Next, we have the Florida Gators, somehow sneaking in there at 6-6. And they're taking on the Oregon State Beavers. Because I never thought I'd have to say that. The number 14 ranked Florida State Beavers. I got to put some respect on their name now. The Beavers right now are favored by 10. The over-under is at 53. A little context on why they're favored. Anthony Richardson of Florida, their quarterback, has now declared for the draft, so he will not be there. And if you don't know, Jonathan Kitna, if you don't know, former NFL quarterback's son, probably doing some time in prison for child pornography. And that's their backup quarterback, mind you. So Florida, not sure who their starting quarterback is going to be, I think, right now. Oregon getting favorable double digits. TJ, how do you see this one going, man?
Well, I mean, because I have family in friends that root for Florida, it's going to be a very, very long game.
Okay.
It's going to be very because I've watched enough Oregon State, and I watched what they did to Oregon.
Yeah.
That is a nice lockdown defense. I mean, I'm going to go with Oregon. I'm going to say by 2 touchdowns. Woo. And I'm taking the under because I don't think Florida's going to get. I think they're going to be punting more than they are throwing. Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely taking the under on this one.
Okay, all right. I like that. I mean, listen, Oregon's no stranger to the quarterback thing because I think they're on their second quarterback. I think this guy Goldbranson, I think, is their starting quarterback. He's, I think, their backup, taking over for Chance Nolan, I think, who was originally their starter. But this Oregon team they're 4-1 in their last 5. They beat Cal and Arizona State, but by big numbers. But the big thing is they beat Oregon. They beat their rival by 4 in a game where they were down by like 20-some points, and then with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and they found a way to come back. That is resilience. Florida is missing too much with the quarterback stuff. Johnson Jr. and Etienne are great, but you can only run them. You run them 50 times, they're only going to maybe get 200 yards a pop, and I think only 2 touchdowns. So I agree with you, TJ. Oregon State. I'm going to say Oregon, but I like the 10. I'll take them on the 10, and I agree, the under. And Florida is only going to maybe get 1 or 2 touchdowns. Oregon State will take this one, I think, out of the water. Not out of the water per se, but it could get. Let's say it could get out of the water. A beaver could potentially kill a gator, which that doesn't. I don't think that's ever happened yet. So we'll see. Emily would say the gator eats the beaver. That's how she picks her. That's how she picks her team. So I would be very interested to see how she would pick these bowl games for sure. All right. Next we have the Washington State Cougars. They are taking on the Fresno State Bulldogs. This should be a very interesting match. Fresno State favored right now. They obviously have the better record. The over-under's at 42.5, but I would say don't be surprised, folks. But TJ, please, you first. Who are you picking on this one, man? Washington State, Fresno State. Where are you going with this?
Okay, so I'm going to go with Fresno.
Okay.
Only because the last couple times I have gone against Fresno, I'm like, no, there's no way. Especially when I was out in Vegas at Christmas time. Like, no, Fresno. No, they get into a bowl game and somehow they find a way to win. Yeah. So I'm gonna give them the win. I'm gonna say by 2. So I don't think they're gonna cover. And you know, I'll go the over. I think it'll be a higher scoring game, and I think it's going to be really, really close.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Washington State. This is going to be a quarterback battle. Jake Haener last year threw 33 touchdowns, 4,000 yards for Fresno State, which I know is nothing new because who came from Fresno State? Derek Carr. As did his brother David, but, David didn't do as well. I think this Haener kid could be a good prospect for the draft. He's not declared, so I think he's coming back. Cameron Ward has not declared either, and I think he's a potential prospect for the NFL as well. 6'3", 210, can run, can throw. I mean, he led this Washington State Cougar team for the most part. He did a lot of the bulk work offensively for this team. He did an incredible job, and I think rightfully so. He deserves the credit for it. I will say I think just Washington State, a little bit more momentum, a little bit more experience. I like Cameron Ward going against Jake Haener. I think he's just got more of an arm talent right now. Haener's been banged up. He didn't really play too much this year, but he still has played well when he's been able to bounce back in these games. Obviously, Fresno State, they're 5-0 right now. Washington State, they're 3-2. I'm going to say it's Washington State by like 2 points. Keep it close. And I think you're right, TJ. I think this hits the over. I think this is a quarterback shoot. This could be one of like the big games of the week. You could see this one go into the 40s and 50s, I think, scoring wise. Like they could get that out of control. That's how good these two teams are as far as offense. All right. Next, we have the SMU Mustangs back in a bowl game, and they're taking on the classic BYU Cougars. Boy, talk about a throwback. If this was the 1980s, we'd be seeing the Pony Express versus Jim McMahon, right? Jim McMahon, maybe some Steve Young potentially. We'd be seeing some old classics out of this, but not some old classics, unfortunately. Now we're looking at these are the new boys in town. But SMU's favored by 3.5. The over-under's at 64. So a high-scoring game is predicting. So TJ, BYU, SMU, who are you picking for this one?
I'm going to go with SMU. I think that offense is going to be unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they'll be able to run out to pass all over the place. Not to say I don't like BYU, but I just don't see it's going to be again. It's going to be one of those end of the game ones that I think it's going to be who scores the last touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take SMU. I'm going to take them by. I'll go 7, and then I'm definitely going the over.
Okay.
I think this is going to be just an aerial attack all day and all night, and
similar to what we saw when they played Houston potentially.
Yes, exactly.
That's interesting. Well, and that's where I'm going with this because I'm definitely taking the over. I actually put a bet on it that it's going to be one of those like ridiculous scoring games, and if it does happen, it's got a good payout. So we'll see. It could make some good chunk of change off that. Only a $5 bet, mind you, too. I could almost triple my price on that, believe it or not. I like SMU still in this. Nothing against BYU. Jared Hall, I think, is still a decent quarterback, but Mordecai, he's more seasoned in this offense. He feels comfortable, I think. He has not made a lot of mistakes. SMU, 4-1, in their last 5. BYU's 3-2, but they're on a 3-game winning streak in their last 3 games. BYU is, so. But I like SMU and how they've played against a lot of these other teams, especially against a lot of their bigger opponents. Houston, like obviously the big game blowout. Tulsa was a good game. I mean, there was a shootout there too. And then they beat out Memphis, and Memphis is always a tough one for them as well. I mean, these aren't Power 5 teams, of course, but they are good teams nevertheless in Group 5 G5 teams. So I like SMU. I'm going to say SMU by a touchdown. I like your idea. Last minute touchdown to win the game. Last TD, I think, is going to be the final score in this for sure. And I'll say SMU, and yeah, definitely taking the over on this. Are you kidding me? They'll watch it now be like 10-9, right? Of course. Everybody gets hurt, right? Or they get sick. That's what's going to happen. But no, I definitely think the over. All right, next we have Liberty versus Toledo. I know we're talking about some barn burners here, folks. I know. Just bear with us. Next week we're going all out on the Bulls. I promise you. We got 19 bowl games coming at you, and that's right, 19. We're gonna be here. Well, we can't be here a while because we got classes that'll come in, but we'll get them done as quick as we can. But Toledo, obviously, good season. Liberty started off really good, kind of hit the skids a little bit at the end. But nevertheless, they've still both played very well. Toledo is favored 5 points, and the over-under is at 54. TJ, Toledo, Liberty, where do you see this one going?
All right, so my same reasoning that I had with Fresno is going to be with Liberty.
Okay.
I have bet against them now 4 years in a row. Okay. I won one of those.
Oh, jeez.
So I bet against them, and it was sandwich bets. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Not losing, my life savings. So I'm going to go Liberty, and I have seen some Toledo, and just the turnovers just kill me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Liberty. I'm going to say by, I'll say the cover. I'll go with the 6.
Okay.
And I'll say the under.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I mean, this is rough because Liberty has lost their last 3 games, and at least Toledo was able to win their conference and be the MAC conference champions, beating Ohio. So I'm gonna go with Toledo just because I think they've played well. Their defense is pretty good. Not much better, but they're all right for what they are. They certainly score a lot of points. I like the way Toledo looks. I like their quarterback, Finn. I think they have a really good receiving core. Toledo's always good for a couple of those receivers. Isn't that where Deontay Johnson came from? I'm not mistaken. Do you know by the chance, TJ? Am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure offhand.
Okay, I can pull that up real quick by doing a quick type, and of course it's not going to give me his college right off the bat. Yeah, of course. Thank you, Wikipedia. Yes, Toledo. I was right. He was a Toledo man. He was a Toledo. So, I mean, see, so Toledo can give you some talent. Don't overlook him. Don't overlook him. Although Logan Woodside, I guess, is now with the Cardinals, so there's another Toledo boy for you. But I'm going to tell you Toledo. I'm going to say Toledo by... I like the 5. I'll take him on the 5, and I'm going to say this hits the under. I'm not sure where Liberty's at right now. Because remember, Hugh Freeze has now left. And they've now got Coastal Carolina's head coach, unfortunately, Chaney Campbell, who's now taking over as the new head coach there. So there could be a little bit of a like, how hard do we really want to go for this game? So that could happen. So I'll say Toledo, yeah, by 5, and I will say it hits the under. I'll say it hits the under. All right, and last but not least, folks, the game you all want to talk about, I know. It's Baylor versus Air Force Academy. Baylor started off so strong in the preseason when they were undefeated and had no record whatsoever, and then it just slowly started to dip away so fast because the entire Big 12 was like, hey, we want to play too. So, especially TCU. Yeah, but we'll talk about them next week. But Air Force, they've been picking up momentum as of late. They've done a really good job over the last 3 or 4 years. They've looked a lot better. They only average 68 yards passing. They do, however, average almost 331 yards rushing. So guess what they're probably going to do in this game? That's right. They're going to throw the air raid offense. Because they're Air Force. Which, by the way, how ironic is that? You're Air Force Academy, and yet your offense is wishbone offense, run the football. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. TJ, though, Baylor is favored in this game by 5.5. The over-under's at 49. How do you see this one going? Who are you picking?
You know what? I'm going to go with Air Force, honestly. Because Baylor, as you said, they got off a real hot start, and then all of a sudden, it was just like they disappeared, or maybe the rest of the college football figured out how to play them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they knew. When I say it was like the water boy, they had the other play, and they're going to call this one. They called what? Oh, they called Orange Right. Orange Right is, we're gonna do a crossing route, and the wide receiver is gonna do a curl route.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, cover those guys.
All right.
Okay. Good. We win. So I'm gonna go with Air Force. I think that run defense or run offense, which yes, it is extremely ironic that they don't air it out and they are Air Force.
This is so funny.
That I think it's gonna be like we were talking about a couple days ago with the Tennessee Titans, like the Mike Vrabel. Well, you can't win if you don't have the ball.
Yeah.
So I think Air Force. I'll say by 3, and I'm gonna say the under.
Okay. I'm also gonna join you on that. I'm gonna say Air Force. I think I'm gonna say Air Force by like 9. Baylor has been such a letdown this year, and I know they've got a good quarterback, and I know they've got a decent defense, but even if you, let's say, cut that in half, 330 rushing yards in half, it's still like 100. What is it? 100? I can't do the math right now. But it's 180, right? 180 yards rushing, more or less, give or take. Whatever. I'm not a math guy. Brandon, where are you? I need my stats. But even if you did, they still are probably running all over that Baylor defense. They're so fast. And that fullback, Roberts, I don't know what rank he is, but I'd call him the general. That guy runs with such hard momentum. I've watched more Air Force games than I think I ever have. And it's because they're an interesting watch. They're a very interesting watch. The offense they run is incredible. Their quarterback is very quick too. And he's got a decent arm. Like when he throws it, the 100 times he's thrown it this year, give or take. They have the ability to surprise you. And they always work well with the smoke and mirrors, right? Moving offense, motion on the receivers, motion on the wingback, motion on the... There's a lot of motion in this team. And what have we seen from this Baylor team thus far? You confuse them, you catch them off guard, you can kill them. We saw it with almost every team in the Big 12. You put one guy in motion and you get him going on a multi-route and he can choose, cornerback's done. If he's got to choose what route he has to make, cornerback's he's destroyed. So I'm going to take Air Force. I'm going to take Air Force by 9. And I'm going to say it hits the under because, by the way, Air Force's defense not giving up 20 points a game. They've been stout. Now, this is a good Baylor team. They probably can put up like 22 or 21, 28 points maybe. But I think Air Force can definitely hold them back even more. I definitely think they can surprise them. Should be fun. Ben says it's going to be a bad game. I think this could be a far more interesting game than anything. Watch it be like a 16-0 blowout. Watch, Baylor. You underestimate Air Force. That's what you're going to get. I guarantee you. They're going to set the rushing record on you. So we'll see. It's the first week of bowl, ladies and gentlemen. That's just up until Christmas time for Christmas Eve. We'll be back with the rest of them after that. Again, we're going to split the difference. There's 19 of them. Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to talk about all the big games leading up to it because after next week, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So no show for 2 weeks because of Christmas and New Year's and all that. And then the first week of January, going to be out as well. So when we do come back, we will be talking more sports. We'll talk about what happened with the bowl games and everything. So I hope you guys, I'll be posting some stuff on the side while we're ready as well. So be on the lookout for that. But as always, folks, I'm joined by a wonderful man again, TJ Knacker here, ladies and gentlemen. TJ, as always, thank you so much, man, for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything about you, man, and what you do for me. And it means the world that you could be here and talk some sports with me and everything. And that's what I appreciate about you, man.
That's what I appreciate about you.
Well, please let the people know, TJ, where they can find you, listen to you, all that good stuff, amigo.
Well, TJ Knacker on Facebook and on Instagram is Knack300, and you'll find me in the back for the Blow the Whistle TV show and for X-Bomb, as here I am.
Yep.
And my show, Unpack with the Knack, we'll open up cards, some new. We're going to open up some new ones coming up this week, the next coming week.
Yep.
It's going to be a nice little festive open. And then, then I open up vintage cards and maybe even some other ones. We're in talks that I may even have a guest host. Mm-hmm. Maybe over the break. Should be interesting. So we'll see. But yeah, you want to check me out? Do it on Instagram and Facebook.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to give them a like, give them some love. Let us know if you have any suggestions for Unpack with the Knack. Within reason. We're not loaded. We're not loaded. But let us know if there's any that you want to see us open. We're open to all of it. One of our good friends, again, Emily, Tyler's wonderful fiance, and one of the greatest social media managers you could ever ask for, even brought up the idea of the mystery boxes from Amazon, which I think is a really good idea, something to unpack, see what we can get from those and stuff. So we're gonna be doing a lot more with that, folks. We're just getting started with the cards. Be prepared. We're gonna be doing a lot more with it. We're gonna be exploring a lot more with what we can. There's gonna be a lot more shows coming out, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys want to follow me, though, I'm at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram. That's where you guys can always hit me up. Also, if you want to hit me up on Twitter, though, I'm starting to be more active on Twitter as well. I'm at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. That's where you can find me ranting so much right now about the transfer portal and who's going where and all that stuff. Because I like TJ said, he can't keep up with it. I keep up with it every day because I don't sleep anymore. So that's like my life now. But also, too, guys, obviously, if you want to see any more of our show, we just live streamed. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch. You can find all of the live stream stuff, all the updates, the show going live Wednesday and Thursday, 5:30-ish, 6:30-ish. I know this week we went early. Again, it's because our man Drew couldn't be here. Shout out to our boy Drew again as he's packing. Hopefully he's not too jealous that the TV worked for me when he could have been hosting today. Sorry, dude. I love you, though. I hope all the best to you and your packing and stuff. So we do appreciate that as well, because that's what we appreciate about you, Drew. Also, too, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check us out anymore, follow us on our social media at XBomb Sports on Twitter and on Instagram. We'll get more active on that stuff as well. And if you have any questions or comments, hit us up at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. Bring in those emails, bring in those questions. Again, let us know about the whole thing with the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, who will win a championship first. Give us those emails, and we'll talk about it next week on the show. Also, too, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast stuff. Check out Blow the Whistle on the radio side, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time, sportsdownchicago.com. They're doing the TV side now. We're back on the Tuesdays. We're doing it. Tuesdays, TBD. We'll let you guys know when we are going live on the TV side. We should be going live, I assume, next week, so be on the lookout for that, ladies and gentlemen. Also, too, make sure to check out our boy Brandon Jadeski at 94.3 WMKF if you're going down near Taylorville, Illinois. You can hear him on Genuine Country doing the 90s hour. The 90s at 9 request hour, doing his thing, and he's done a great job when I've been able to go down there past Taylorville and listen to him. It's good to hear my man. It only happened a couple times, but he's doing a great job up there. So hopefully we will hear from him soon. And Baseball Banter with Brandon as well, also on Spotify and Anchor. Make sure to check that out as well, where our boy gives off all the info on the baseball needs. I'm sure he's having a fun time with all this baseball stuff going down here, folks. I'm sure he's pulling his ears and hair and fingers off at this point. Also, while on Spotify, check out Money Motivation with Hannah B, done by our very own Hannah Brummer. She does her thing on Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all other podcasting platforms. It's a wonderful little podcast where it can get you motivated and pumped up throughout the day. And while you're also listening for her, you can check her out at 102.3 XLC, doing the afternoon drive. She's killing it on the music side of things, but also she's doing her thing at 96.7 The Star with the legendary Eddie Volkman in the After 8 Hours morning show, where they're having a great time, and she is absolutely dominating the world. She just recently, too, got nominated for one of the 30 under 30 for broadcasters, so congratulations to you, Hannah. You are living the dream, and we could not be more prouder of you than we are now. So congratulations again, Hannah. We're all very happy that you're having all the success in the world that you are. So absolutely, we can't wait for us to be invited to your island is what we're trying to say. We love you, Hannah. We really do. Also, too, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to go check out our boys at The Parlay. That's right. It is theparlay.com with our boys, Tony Lopez, and professional NBA player and former professional boxer, Kendall Gill, as they talk everything boxing, MMA, combat sports, everything you're looking for at theparlay.com. And finally, any questions geez, I really messed that one up. If you're looking for your fantasy football needs, go to the Fake Football Guys here on YouTube. It's our boys JC and Dustin giving you all the fantasy football tips that you're looking for throughout the week. We haven't gone for the last couple weeks. We will be going next week, though. That is a confirm from the boys, hopefully, so that will be something we can hold to. So we're in playoffs right now, by the way, for our league. I'm currently on a bye week, so your boy's trying to win the belt from the league for the first time ever participating. Tied for first, so we will see if Deshaun's Chocolate Starfishes, which is our team name for me and David, can win the championship. I knew he'd like that too. So, and that's it. That's everything. And obviously, again, Unpack with the Knack every Tuesday as well. Check it out, guys. We'll be going next Tuesday. We'll be opening up some good stuff as well. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week for the last show of the year, and then we take 2 weeks off, and we'll be back in 2023 for some new episodes. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.